Hi and welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about a science fiction film called Inuyashiki. Be ready for some spoilers ahead. Akiro is a man from the middle class who recently purchased a new house for his family. However, his efforts seem to go unappreciated as they complain about the size of the house, which is smaller than the neighboring houses. To celebrate, he buys sushi for the family, but they refuse to eat takeouts and go to a restaurant without him. Consequently, Akiro has to enjoy the celebration alone. At work, his boss expresses displeasure over his new project that aims to sell energy drinks. The project is causing the company to lose a lot of money, and Akiro publicly apologizes while his manager scolds him in front of his colleagues. After a tough day at work, Akiro returns home only to witness a thug robbing a man who looks like him. Terrified, he turns around but is seen by his daughter. While sitting outside his house, he is blamed for being a coward by his daughter. Akiro discovers a stray dog, abandoned by her owner, walking towards him. The dog's name is Hanako, and Akiro immediately feels a connection with her. When his wife sees him with the dog, she demands that he gets rid of her and hands him a report of his recent medical examination that requires further testing. The news from the doctor is terrible, as Akiro has stage 4 cancer and only has about 3 months to live. He tries to call his wife and daughter to tell them the news, but both ignore his phone call. At dinner time, he tries to inform his family of his medical condition, but they are too self-involved and continue to blame him for every little mishap. While Akiro's eyes reflect his pain, his wife demands that he gets rid of the dog, paying no attention to her husband's distress. Akiro takes his pet out for a walk in the streets and wonders if his family will even mourn him after hearing the terrible news. He apologizes to Hanako and tries to leave her behind, but she follows him everywhere he goes. Akiro fails to abandon his loyal companion, and he realizes that Hanako is the only thing in this world that cares about him. He apologizes profusely for leaving his friend behind. Akiro sees another man named Hiro sitting in the park, contemplating life. Suddenly, they see a bright light heading towards them. An object hits them with blinding speed, and both lose consciousness. When Akiro wakes up, he finds himself surrounded by strange creatures, and Hanako barks continuously. The next morning, Akiro finds himself lying next to his dog and surprisingly, his perfect vision has been restored without his glasses. He returns home for breakfast only to realize that he cannot taste any of the food and feels extremely thirsty while drinking water from the fountain. As he enters his room, smoke starts emanating from Akiro's left hand. Soon, it transforms into a large rifle and shoots the soup he drank earlier. His body starts changing, revealing mechanical parts underneath his skin. However, Akiro manages to pull himself together. When his wife walks in, she informs Akiro that their daughter Mary goes to the same class as Hiro, the man who was with Akiro the previous night. Akiro visits his friend Choco and demonstrates the power he gained from the encounter the night before by shooting a bird from a distance using his fingers. Hiro then takes Choco to an underground parking lot, where he shows off his ability to control cars with his mind and reveals his mechanical body. Meanwhile, Akiro leaves work and comes across an injured pigeon on the floor. With compassion, he cradles the wounded animal in his arms and miraculously manages to restore it to full health, enabling it to take flight once more. From a distance, he hears another cry of anguish and hurries to the hospital where a terminally ill boy is on the brink of death. Akiro places his hand on the boy and miraculously restores his health, just as he did with the pigeon. Overwhelmed with joy at having saved a life, he witnesses the reunion of the boy with his mother. Meanwhile, Hiro takes his friend to confront a group of bullies, insisting that they apologize and return the stolen money. He grabs onto the bully's arm and hurts him until he gets exactly what he wants. Hiro points his finger towards the man and just before he kills, Choco intervenes and urges Hiro to stop, telling him that it's enough. Hiro's display of bravery catches the attention of a girl named Chin, who approaches him in the hallway and confesses her admiration for him. Hiro thanks her for the compliments but walks away with a smile. We learn that Hiro's parents are divorced because his father left his mother for another woman. Despite being betrayed, Hiro's mother still cares for his father's well-being and wants Hiro to spend time with him. Hiro goes to his father's house and shares a meal with his family, but he can't help feeling angry and resentful. He believes that their happiness was stolen from his mother while he played with his half-brother. Hiro points his finger towards the family, hesitating about pulling the trigger. He eventually stops as he looks at his father and realizes that he still cares for the man despite what he's done. Hiro walks home alone and hears the sounds of happiness from nearby families, which only seems to fuel his anger. He breaks into one of the houses and proceeds to shoot everyone inside. Akiro hears about this from the hospital after saving more people, and he rushes to the house where he finds a young girl with a bullet hole in her head. He attempts to use his power to save her, but quickly realizes that it only works on living beings. As he enters the living room, he sees a group of heroes standing over the lifeless bodies. Akiro recognizes the man from the park earlier, but before he can say a word, Hiro launches a surprise attack and sends him flying across the room. The man quickly recovers and rushes out of the house, only to witness Hiro taking flight into the distance. Choco meets up with Hiro and begins to suspect that his friend is responsible for the murders that took place the previous night, as all the victims had gunshot wounds but no bullets were found. Hiro admits to the killings, but justifies his actions by claiming that he is now a god. He argues that strangers die every day and they should not feel sorry for people they do not know. Choco refuses to accept this and backs away in fear. He tells Hiro that they can no longer be friends and runs away from the murderer. Hiro returns home to his mother and is surprised by her reaction. She informs her son that he must now live with his father. She clarifies that she has an incurable cancer, and the doctors have given her a short time to live. Hiro embraces his mother, crying, and swears that he will never allow her to die. Akira returns home and informs his family that he was demoted by the company. His wife yells at him, worried about their mortgage, while his daughter becomes angry at him for his incompetence. Akira laments his inability to protect his own family and doubts his ability to stop the murders and assist others. Suddenly, he hears Choco's voice praying that someone can prevent his best friend from killing more people. Akira realizes that he must stop doubting himself and determines to use his powers to prevent Hiro from murdering others. He transforms into his robot form, carrying Hanukkah, and flies towards the sky. Akira arrives at the park and meets with Choco. They discuss what happened on that night, and Choco speculates that aliens might have reconstructed both Akira and Hiro. He believes that both he and Akira possess similar abilities, so he decides to train Akira based on what he's seen heroes do. They go to a junkyard and Akira tries shooting a tin can with his hand. Needless to say, Akira has a lot of training to do before he can even come close to matching his rival's skills. Meanwhile, Hiro and his mother visit the doctor, only to learn that her cancer has completely disappeared from her body, most likely due to Hiro's powers. They walk home together, and Hiro tries to convince his mother to enjoy life and go on vacations, promising to make her happy as her life has been difficult from the beginning. However, their happiness is short-lived when they're visited by a group of police officers who demand to question Hiro about the murders. He immediately runs off, while his mother screams for him. Hiro tosses the police officers around like ragdolls and sprints into the parking lot. He employs his powers to eliminate 3 of the officers, while the others shoot at him to no avail. Hiro leaps off the staircase and takes flight, fleeing the area. The news of his escape spreads fast through the media, and he quickly becomes a fugitive with no place to hide. Fortunately, he encounters Zen, who decides to take him in despite his current status. We discover that Zen resides with her grandmother, her sole living relative, as her parents passed away due to an illness years ago, and she doesn't believe she has long to live either. In the meantime, Akira makes some headway in his training but tires quickly from all the activity. He grows thirsty once more and takes an energy drink from his company. Choco hypothesizes that the liquid must power their bodies, as they become quite thirsty after using their weapons. Akira starts experiencing discomfort in his body and vomits out the liquid like he did before with the soup. Choco realizes that the high sodium content may be causing his bodily malfunction, and they consider using this knowledge to their advantage later on. At night, Hiro watches the news about his mother and is horrified to see that everyone is blaming her for his actions. She repeatedly apologizes but receives no sympathy. He breaks down in tears, realizing that the person he loves the most in the world is paying for the crimes he committed. The news reports that they found Hiro's mother dead in her apartment, apparently having taken her own life due to media pressure. Hiro is in shock and starts reading the comments on the video, only to see people cursing his mother's name. He becomes enraged and uses his powers to hack into the computers of the commenters, shooting everyone through their screens and causing widespread death across the nation as people drop dead after looking at their devices. Zen notices that Hiro is having trouble sleeping and attempts to comfort him, but he confesses that he is responsible for the deaths of so many people. He transforms in front of her, attempting to scare her away, but she refuses to believe that the man she loves could be a killer. Hiro takes her outside and into the sky, asking if this frightens her, but she only fears that he might leave her. She is the only person left in the world who cares for him, and he promises to protect her and stay with her forever. Hiro is finally able to sleep, and Zen smiles, saying that he is still human. As she goes to the kitchen, she feels something beside her. Turning around, she sees an army of soldiers pointing their guns at her. Hiro quickly grabs her and shields her body as the soldiers fire continuously at him. He turns around and retaliates with fury, killing every one of them. After everything settles, Hiro notices that Shin has already died with multiple gunshot wounds on her body. He cries at his friend's death and resolves to exact revenge by killing everyone in the country. Ishiro sees news reports about the recent murders and warns his family to turn off their phones, but none of them listen and proceed to go out despite the dangers. Meanwhile, Mary meets up with her friends and they climb to the top of a high-rise to enjoy the scenery. Hiro begins broadcasting himself on every single network, announcing his intention to destroy the country. Despite initial disbelief from the public, people start dropping dead everywhere as he begins shooting at the masses. Panic ensues and people run in chaos, But there is nowhere to hide from his attacks. Akira manages to hijack the signal and Choco tells everyone to throw away their phones to prevent the attacks. With no way to reach the masses, Hiro decides to attack humanity directly by firing numerous missiles at the city, causing explosions everywhere. Akira tries to convince Hiro to stop, but the young man ignores his words and starts chasing Akira through the sky. They weave through the city's buildings, and Hiro follows Akira closely. He fires a barrage of missiles, but Akira manages to avoid them as they explode behind him. They fly through an underground tunnel, narrowly avoiding oncoming traffic. As they get closer to Mary, Akira hears her cries for help after her building is hit by one of Hiro's missiles. The old man rushes towards his daughter, but Hiro attacks him from behind, causing him to lose control of his flight system and crash into the side of a building. Akira tries to shoot at Hiro, but the young man evades the attacks and kicks him through a building. After crashing into a helicopter and causing it to explode, the two land on a rooftop. Akira continues to plead with Hiro to stop, but Hiro pulls out a bottle of water to recharge. Akira tries to destroy it, but Hiro takes it and drinks the entire bottle. He continues firing missiles, causing Akira to fly into the sky. As they fly further into the atmosphere, Hiro shoots more missiles at Akira, pushing him into outer space. Hiro punches him and grabs him, but instead of firing more missiles, he shoots out the water he drank earlier, which turns out to be an energy drink replaced by Akira. Hiro's body malfunctions, and Akira transforms his arm into a rifle, shooting numerous projectiles at Hiro and causing him to fly towards Earth with the explosions. The old man flies to the building where his daughter is lying motionless on the ground. He tries everything he can to revive her and eventually manages to bring back her breath. They embrace each other as tears fall from the old man's eyes. Suddenly, he gets kicked from the side, sending him flying towards the walls. It turns out that Hiro survived the earlier fall and has returned to seek revenge. He learns that Mary is the old man's daughter and begins attacking her, shooting her in the stomach. As Akira tries to interfere, Hiro punches him around like a rag doll and continues to beat him in front of his daughter. He grabs Mary and takes her to the edge of the building. Hiro wants the father to experience the same despair that she feels every moment, so he throws the daughter off the building. Seeing his family about to be killed, Akira charges all his energy and flies towards Hiro. He collides with the man, breaking off his arm while flying towards his daughter. Akira charges downward and sees that Mary is still falling. He reaches out and catches her just before she hits the ground. Mary wakes up after being healed by her father and realizes that her old man is a superhero. She watches him fly off as he rushes to save as many people as he can. Although the government has confirmed Hiro's death, they haven't found his body on site, only shards of metals of unknown origin. Akira continues to have dinner with his family as if everything is normal, but his daughter now sees that her father is a true hero. Choco goes home and is surprised to see that Hiro is still alive, but missing an arm after the fight. He's glad to see that his friend didn't die and offers to play the newest video game. Choco turns around to find the game, but sees that Hiro has left, knowing that his presence would only endanger his best friend. What are your thoughts on this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons for more content. I'll catch you all next time.